A significant population and a growing population is losing faith in broadcast news.
And why do you think that is?
Because I think it's because I think the reason why there is why faith is diminishing is that people have seen so much, especially on cable television, that smacks of biased reporting. Whether it's truthful or not, I'm not saying it's not truthful, some of it. I'm just saying that there is a growing lack of credibility. And I believe credibility lost is never fully restored. So, this is a very important moment in journalism. And I think that opinionated journalism, which has its place, is dangerous when there is not enough effort towards fair and unbiased reporting. And I think on the networks you see a lot of really excellent in their evening broadcast, fair and unbiased reporting. But the viewerships on the networks has diminished significantly because overall the numbers are going down. And the loudest voices in broadcast journalism now are on cable networks, which have made decisions to do a side of the story or another side of the story. This is how people now are coming to think that television journalism works, and I think that's very dangerous.
So specifically, like when you have President Trump say that the press is the enemy of the people, probably in a different time and administration you would have responded to that differently. Is there a responsibility or a different tack that the press should be taking to combat that kind of a statement, or what should the reaction be from the press when you have a commander-in-chief say that?
Well, the press should not have any reaction.
Okay.
Organizations that represent the press can have their reactions. The press should not be seen as fighting a politician. The press should be doing their job. That's it. Mm-hmm. You should be doing your job. And you should not be defending your craft, you should not be defending yourself, you should just do your job. And people and organizations, and there are plenty of news organizations, whose job it is to look after the craft of journalism, they should be speaking up and making statements and being voices in news stories. Mm-hmm. But the press itself should not see itself as, then you are not unbiased, are you? Look, the press has always been a problem for any politician in a major role, especially a president. I don't know of any president that has loved the press.
No.
And there have been many past presidents who have said terrible things about the press. But it's not your job to get all up in arms and defensive and start attacking your attacker. Your job is to do your job. Mm-hmm. Do your job.
Do you find that there's different challenges now, though, that the very validity of what you're reporting is being questioned in general? Just fake news, that the sources aren't being believed. Like, how do you, using the same tools you've always used and using the same methods, win back that trust just by doing? Or is there something that you could do as a reporter to restore that trust and to say, my sources are good, this is what's happening?
I think that the job is to be accurate more than being first. The job is to be well-sourced. The job is to tell important stories. And the job is to not make a mistake, which is hard. But with experience is less likely. You're less likely to make a mistake with experience. I think that that's how you win credibility. You are worthy because you have been worthy. Mm-hmm. You are credible because you are worth believing because you have been right. If you have to stand up and say, but wait a minute, I'm right, and let me prove to you that I'm right, and that's a sorry position to be in. You need to be right. Just be right. Get it right. And be fair and be unbiased. And the press has survived these kinds of attacks before, and it will again. But the vulnerable moment now is that the rise of opinionated broadcasting and opinionated online reporting and opinionated, in some cases, newspaper reporting that's not separated from what should be the majority of journalism, which is the effort towards the truth. No, truth is not biased. It always has nuance, often has more than one side, sometimes more than one side. The truth is not, some truth may not, did he kill her or did he not? There's a truth. He did. He killed her or he didn't. That's not, there isn't another side to that. Yes, he killed him. No, he didn't kill him. But there probably are nuances even in that story about what was happening ahead of time and beforehand and how exactly, there always are these other bits. And it's when we take out these nuances that we often lose a real sense of what's happening, the real sense of what's true. And a journalist's job is to get as much of that nuance in and to take your own opinion out as much as possible. To take out the thing that actually takes down your credibility, which is having too much ownership in an outcome from a story. It's not your job. You're just a journalist. That's all you are. You're a journalist. Document. You're a first scribe of history. Do it. Do it right. I don't subscribe to this idea that we have a job. Our job is to take on individually those who attack our press. Be right, and you will be believed. Now, I know we live in a time when it's much more problematic because of the advent of social media and the internet. But the truth rises like cream, and bias is clear. And like my father said, yelling at the TV set, "Don't tell me what to think." See, Anne, they're disrespecting us. They think we're stupid enough just to believe what they have to say. Don't disrespect the viewer. Don't respect the reader. I think that's my position on journalism. No, I don't think that even in these times, our job is to take a side. Our job is to not take a side.
Right.
Except on the side of truth. That's our job.
Do you think it's a problem for the industry as a whole that so many people are getting their news for free through social media or whatever, and that a lot of the sources you're talking about, like especially the print sources, people aren't paying for and they're struggling financially to stay afloat? Do you see
I think
that
the
as well?
mistake is to believe that journalism any good journalism can be free. That's a big mistake. Because everyone, as I said earlier, back to what Spud said, everyone wants their side of the truth told. And they want the story seen through their own eyes. And when you think about that, how much pressure there is for people to only tell a certain point of view in a story, how much pressure it is for people in politics to want to control the message. All the reasons why propaganda exists. When you think about all that, why would you trust any source of journalism that's free? Truth is the first victim in war. It is the first victim, I think, period. And I think that it needs defenders. And it's a tough job. It's not a fun job to measure and weigh how to tell a story. It's not fun. I love to write, but that struggle to get it right is hard. And to fight against propaganda, to investigate stories, to tell stories that people don't want to hear. You know, you need a certain kind of person who's willing to do that. And so when I think about all the ways truth is under assault, I don't understand why anyone would think that any source of journalism that is free can be trusted.
Mm-hmm.
So I say to people, if you want good journalism, subscribe. I'm sorry, I know we are oversubscribed already, but subscribe to good.
Yeah.
Just subscribe to journalism sources that know how to do journalism, you know? I think it's great that we get information from citizens, and we get, you know, and Apple and everybody, all these technologists are now getting in the game, but and that's sources of information. But to know how to weigh information is a specific skill, and to know whether something should be used or not it takes some editing and some thought. Mm-hmm. And yeah, you can be trained to do that, but not everybody is good at that. In fact, I would say most people are not good at that, which is why we're in this pickle, because people are looking at the internet and social media and their websites and everything, and they're just accepting all of it and confused, and they're not good editors. The problem of America is we're not good editors, and we're forced to be today. Right. So I suspect what's happening is that we're making this transition, and when we get to the other side, when we break on through to the other side, there'll be a new world, a new possible world that will be created of journalism, for the American people, for the world. The pressures that we're under today will change. It'll be decided that there is a new platform. Technologists need to hire journalists or train to be journalists. Citizens who want to become journalists need to learn how to become journalists. Until then, they're sources, not journalists. I'm sorry, I know it may sound like I think I'm so big, and it's not that. It's that you need to know some fundamental skills, like writing, like editing, like figuring out how many sources you need to go off the record, like what data is probably true, how to weigh out, even if you want to report something, how to get rid of something that you really shouldn't report, and how you have an obligation. You have an obligation to get it right. And if you get it wrong, credibility loss is never fully regained, nor should it be. And that's the problem where we are today. I'm starting to get tired, but the problem where we are today is that there is enough loss of faith to disrupt the foundations of democracy. And that's a problem because we can't exist without good journalism. So I suspect we'll find it again and build it again.
You're hopeful.
Oh, I know it. We cannot exist as a democracy unless we rebuild journalism. And we cannot rebuild journalism in this kind of system that we have today. I suspect young, smart journalists are coming down the pike who have not lost their credibility and who I hope will know what they're doing and who will do it right. And they'll do it probably on the internet, broadcasting on the internet, live streaming on the internet, writing, producing videos. And there'll be people, as maybe some places, they do it not with the motivation of ratings or circulation or clicks or money, that they'll make the right choices when it comes to how to inform people.